All right, just there we go. We good. Okay, let's go. All right, all right, all right, all right. All right, got my coffee. Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Tim Black. Welcome to the Tim Black Show. Wow, that's bright. Woo! I'm under the sun. What's going on, people? What's happening? People on Periscope, people on YouTube, people on Facebook. Hope that everybody's good to go. Looked like my audio was working. That's audio. Now let me check with my people on Facebook. That's YouTube. Facebook people, are you in the house? Did the button go okay? Yes, we did. Okay. What's up, Rashid, Jane, and Rose, and Maggie, and Neil, and Dana, and Eli, and Nicole? Yes. What's up, Ken and Dana, whole crew? Glad to see you. Glad to see you here on a Thursday. We're getting it kicked off, guys. This is going to be great. I got a lot to cover tonight. We want to get to it. Thank you for everybody on the Tim Black Wolfpack, everybody on Patreon who supports the show, people who support it on Facebook, people that support it on YouTube. Tim Black Wolfpack all the way around the internet. Thank you guys so much. You guys keep the show going. Let's keep that real. Let's keep it 100. Because we're not funded by any private organization. We don't get a chunk of the Bloomberg money. None of that. That's why we're able to call him out. That's how you know, guys. Oh, my goodness gracious. There is a lot of butt kissing going on. Woo! These people are kissing so much ass. Wow, people. It's horrendous how much. The lips just look like suppositories. Now, before I get started, let me also say this. I had a great interview today with a member of I would call her the original squad. You know, because these are the young women who were running for Congress. Amy Villa, Cori Bush, AOC, and Paula Jean Swearinger. There you go, Paula Jean. And they were the ones featured in that Netflix movie, the documentary. So I interviewed Cori Bush, right? So, you know, a month ago, I interviewed Paula Jean. Well, I talked to Cori Bush today. It was a fantastic interview. That will be coming out early next week. I'm looking forward to releasing that and helping her. She's running for Congress in Missouri's 1st District, and we hope to help her get that. She's a true activist. So that's going on. That's going down. We had a great video I put out yesterday of Arami OCA Frimpong, and we killed that. That was about 8 reasons why black people should support Bernie Sanders. That's on the YouTube channel. Go check that out. We're doing big things. Oh, man, that's good. Oh, it's almost too good. It's almost too good, guys. Almost too good. Okay. You guys ready to get into it? All right, I'm ready to get into it. Man, what is going on with this Michael Bloomberg thing is so devastating to the psyche of black progressives like myself. Now, I'll tell you guys, I'm the foremost, most watched video broadcasting black progressive on the left in America. I've looked around. I can't find anybody bigger. Some people point to people like Roland Martin. I don't count Roland. He got booted out of CNN, then got booted off News One. Now he's reluctantly doing this. I choose to do what I do because I love what I do. I'm not trying to get into CNN or MSNBC. We are cut different. We're cut from a different cloth, us independent media peoples. So that's what we are. And it's very hard to be a progressive black independent media news person and see so many black politicians kiss Michael Bloomberg's butt cheeks. Oh, it's so frustrating to become educated, to be educated on the travesty which is Michael Bloomberg, and to see these people ignore, in spite of all that he's done, just line up at the trough to drink from the well of Michael Bloomberg. It is very, very frustrating. It's horrible, guys. Horrible, 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 horrible. Well, that's when you know when you have a form of equality when what black people sell out black people, like white people sell out white people, black people sell out black people. I guess that's true equality in America. Everybody's a sellout. Everybody is willing to go against their better judgment, go against what's right, just to get a couple bucks, just to get a job, just to fund something. It's the American way. It's what capitalism does to us. Is what Arami tried to tell me. But listen, guys. As we go for this Michael Bloomberg clips, keep in mind that this man has not denied a single thing. Keep that in mind.
News, Manchester, New Hampshire.
This is Gabe Gutierrez in Tennessee, where tonight Michael Bloomberg is making his moves.
I am running to defeat Donald Trump.
The 77-year-old billionaire and former New York City mayor has already spent an astounding $300 million on ads to catapult his campaign in the dozen-plus states that will vote on March 3rd, Super Tuesday.
What do you say to Democrats who argue that you're trying to buy this election?
I'm not trying to buy the election. We've been at this for 10 weeks, and the best ways to communicate in 10 weeks is through something like mass media.
But he's facing growing scrutiny over leaked audio from a 2015 speech.
Put those cops where the crime is, which means in minority neighborhoods.
Where he defended New York City's controversial police policy of stop and frisk, later ruled unconstitutional.
And the way you get the guns out of the kids' hands is to throw them against the wall and frisk them.
He's recently apologized for stop and frisk, but was asked about the audio today.
It was 5 years ago, and, it's just not the way that I think.
When you heard that audio of him defending stop and frisk, what went through your head?
I think it was just blunt racial profiling.
Bishop Kevin Adams leads a congregation in Chattanooga.
But for him to apologize, I think is huge.
Bloomberg's Super Tuesday Blitz continues tomorrow with 5 campaign stops in North Carolina and Texas, Lester.
All right, Gabe, thank you.
But I think that he apologized. That's huge. He apologized. That's huge. Slaves are turning over in their graves, man. Abolitionists, both white and black, are turning over in their graves, man. People shot in the back of their head, boycotting the buses, fighting to desegregate the South. 4 little girls that blew up in that church are turning over in their graves, man. Lord have mercy. This mofo said he apologized. That's huge. He didn't even say, well, he better apologize. 5 million young people, mostly black and Latino, barely over child age, barely over teenagers. Because you can't always tell 18 from 16 or 15. Stopped and frisked with no probable cause. Constitutional rights violated. And this Negro, who's a pastor, he apologized. That's huge. I wonder if he felt that way if there was some black man who had power then. Oh, we already know this analogy ain't going to work because we don't have no black man that got power enough to humiliate a bunch of white young people. Oh, man, there wouldn't be an apology big enough if there was a black man anywhere in this country that had the ability to inflict so much pain on white kids that droves of them didn't want to come out the house, though they done nothing wrong, because they would be humiliated, thrown, as Michael Bloomberg's own words said, thrown against the wall, and frisked, touched, groped in their private areas. Do you understand the humiliation of being patted down that way when you've done nothing? And look, and if there was such a black man who did humiliate white kids to that extent, I bet you one thing, because I know a lot of white guys with guns. I know a lot of white guys with pride and call themselves patriots. They wouldn't be taking this so nicely. They wouldn't be so nice. They wouldn't be like, well, at least he apologized. They'd be like, ain't no apology big enough. God doggone it. Ain't no apology big enough. They'd be right, too. They'd be right. They would be right. Come on now. Come on now. Woo! We're just getting started. We're just getting warmed up. That's just the primer for what we got in store for this Michael Bloomberg, because Michael Bloomberg is an indictment on our system and all of us. It's an indictment on black folks. So don't worry, white folks. This ain't going to all be about you, because you saw that pastor, right? That wasn't some toothless white dude with a gut out the hair holding a keg of beer on his lap. No, that's a black pastor. And you don't think he's a black pastor of a white church, do you? No, he's a pastor of a black church. So this ain't going to just be beat up on white people day. It's going to be beat up on white people day, beat up on Latino people day, beat up on black people day. It's going to be beat up on our system day, beat up on the Democrats day, beat up on Trump day. Just beat. Just run around, just tap, hit the ass. Just hit everybody's ass. I ain't going to do it no more. I know you're not going to do it no more. Tap. That's the kind of day it's going to be, people. Well, we got the ball rolling. Let's get going, Johnson. Share this on your social media. You won't be hearing this. Needless to say, you won't be hearing a commentary like this on Don Lemon's show or anyone else or anywhere else, actually.
News, Manchester, New Hampshire.
This is
About the other candidates, I mean, you're with Senator Sanders. Then there's also Buttigieg is in the race, came out of nowhere. Amy Klobuchar's run, I think, a stellar campaign lately. She doesn't have any money. She rides around with one staffer. Yeah. She seems to have no money, and yet she seems to be doing something. And then Bloomberg, it's going to be a four-way going into California. Are you going to campaign for Sanders? I mean, I guess you will you?
Yes, I have. I've been out to Iowa. I've been to New Hampshire. I've listened to people. I know why he's number one. I know why he's number one in all these polls. The Morning Consult poll this morning, he's 10 points ahead of number two, which nationwide is still Biden. It's people are, and this is also why you guys talk a lot on this network too about the Bernie bros or the anger from Bernie supporters, and it's not so much their Bernie supporters that are angry. The country is angry. They're angry that they're having to live under the rule of Donald J. Trump. They're angry because they have to live from paycheck to paycheck. They're angry because they can't afford the daycare. They don't know whether if they end up in the hospital, they're going to have to lose their home as a result of it. Yeah, people are angry, and they don't want half measures anymore. Obamacare was great for what it did. Got rid of pre-existing conditions. The kids get to stay under their 26. But it didn't go all the way. We have to go all the way. We can't, no more half measures on these things.
Wow. Okay. My bad. That's one of the other clips. I mean, I love the clip. I do disagree, though. We are mad. Bernie supporters are mad, too. Just like everybody else mad. We ain't separate from the rest of the country. Everybody pissed off. Everybody upset about something. Right? Whether it's medical bills, student debt, jobs, working two jobs, driving Uber, thinking you're going to be a small business person because you drive Uber. Thank Obama for that one, and your labor secretary at the time, Tom Perez. Had all types of labor laws changed in order to benefit a corporation, Uber. All types of labor rights were changed in order to get that done for you. Hope that's working out for you, small business person. Or should I say, small business person. But no, that's not what I wanted to play. I wanted to play this clip, guys.
About the other candidates, I mean, you're with Senator Sanders. Then there's also
I watched him pander at a church and practically beg for forgiveness. I wouldn't have begged for forgiveness. I mean, he was doing his job at the time, and then when he went up to the church, I thought it was disgraceful. But I put something out, and it was pretty nasty. And I thought, I'm looking to bring the country together, not divide the country further.
Yeah. Did you hear that? I mean, to bring the country together. I mean, back to Harville, that was President Trump. yesterday reacting to former Mayor Michael Bloomberg's apology for his past comments on New York City's stop and frisk policy. Trump's comments came just hours after the president tweeted that Michael Bloomberg is a total racist. The president must have forgotten that he, too, supported the stop and frisk policy. Here he goes.
We have to bring back law and order. Now, whether or not in a place like Chicago you do stop and frisk, which worked very well, Mayor Giuliani is here, it worked very well in New York. It brought the crime rate way down.
The argument is that it's a form of racial profiling.
No, the argument is that we have to take the guns away from these people that have them and that are bad people that shouldn't have them.
Well, in response to the president's now deleted tweet, Bloomberg's campaign manager told NBC News, when you threaten Trump, you become a target. Mike was mayor for 12 years and fought for all New Yorkers, but he also knows you don't back down from a bully, and we're in a war to remove him from office. And just this morning, 3 members of the Congressional Black Caucus endorsed Bloomberg, including U.S. Congressman Gregory Meeks of New York, who joins me now. Congressman, thank you. So this is fresh news. We love news around here. Why did you? There's several candidates still running. Why do you pick the mayor?
Well, because he is the best person to beat Donald Trump. He's got a great plan and a great ability to communicate that plan. And I believe that he's the person that can bring this country together. He knows how to conduct and run a huge corporation, so he can do it with this country. He has the ability to talk about issues that are important to average, everyday Americans, because he's one that, he wasn't given his money like Donald Trump was. He earned it the old-fashioned way. Yeah. He built it so he could relate and understand as a result to open doors for others so that they have that opportunity. For me personally, you start talking about wealth creation and closing that wealth gap for African Americans. He's the one that's been talking about that. Great speech that he had in Tulsa, talking about trying to make sure that there's another million or so African Americans becoming homeowners, opening doors for business opportunities for African Americans. That is tremendously important. And he's the one candidate that has been talking about it and knows how to get it done.
Congressman, can he do it?
He's also the one candidate that gave to my campaign back in New York City when I was running to run. He's also the one candidate that can fund me in my upcoming candidacies. The way he's such a businessman. Because he's such a businessman. We all know we want a businessman doing business, man. So mind your business, man. It takes a certain type of scumbag to do what this guy is doing. But it's no different. Mr. Meeks is no different than the others who have run out sort of like jumped out of the clown car of the Democratic Party and kissed Michael Bloomberg's ring. Michael Bloomberg will be held accountable in a just world for his activities, but it seems to be applauded here. They seem to find no problem, no quarter at all with it. Yeah, Donald Trump sent out a tweet about Michael Bloomberg. Did you know what it said? Michael Bloomberg is a huge racist. Then he had to pull it back because he realized he supported one of the core tenets of why he was calling Michael Bloomberg a racist, the stop and frisk policy. But the whole irony of the irony of the whole thing is that at the end of the day, Michael Bloomberg takes away the Democrats' ability to pretend to have the high road. Yeah, you can't even pretend that you have the moral authority if the guy you're running was doing the same shit or believes in the same type of policing as the guy you're running against. Yeah, it's sort of a wash. And I don't know what the Democrats would do if they couldn't clutch their pearls and pretend to be better. I'm not saying that they're not better in some ways when it comes to certain policies, but what I'm saying morally, how are you better? I mean, this is where you prove it, right? When you got to turn down money. When you got to say no to special interest. That's when you prove what you're really about. When you got to walk away from a big paycheck or a big-time job opportunity. When you turn your back on it and say, no, I'm holding on to my ethics and what I believe. But at the end of the day, these people, I don't think they believe in much, Johnson. Much except career advancement and going to the right parties and being able to have enough money to run again. I mean, this right here is amazing. As bad as it is, it's amazing. It pulls the sheet, literally, off of all of them. White, black, brown, Latino, gay, straight, trans, whatever they are. It exposes the underbelly. They don't care about us. What else do you need? I mean, what do you need? Huh? I tell you, this is it, man. Like, if you can't see it now, I don't know what else you need. Do you need a piano to fall on you, Johnson? They don't give a damn about you or me. Nothing. Zero. They don't even care about themselves. I mean, and as much as they care about their career, longevity, and their pensions, and their money in there. They're good. They got health care. This guy set up and said that Michael Bloomberg worked for his money. As if him being a $60 billion heir plus, some say $70 billion, but really, once you get above 2, who's counting? Michael Bloomberg's make billions make billions every year. That's how much money Michael Bloomberg has. His billions make billions. It's like roaches, or they just make more roaches. Huh. Well, if that wasn't enough for you, watching Gregory Meeks do the best soft shoe tap dance I've seen in a while. I mean, this is like there are legions of Stevens from Django just lining up to get their money. I wish I was done, but I'm not. Just getting warmed up, Johnson.
Watched him pander at a church and practically beg for forgiveness. I wouldn't have begged for forgiveness. I mean, he was
potentially redlining. We'll see if he does that. But
Steve is joining us now from Washington. You know, Ed, I have to say, this is like one of my favorite times of the day when you break down all the stuff that's happening.
We learn a lot from you, Ed.
Yeah, you do it with such gusto. So these comments have
it's just nice to be doing it indoors.
Yeah, I bet. Right. So the comments that we're talking about with Bloomberg, they kind of resurfaced over the past couple of days. Do they provide an opening for Bloomberg's opponents?
They most certainly do, and we don't know the source of those that have been reminding people of all these comments, but one would think it's probably coming from some of his Democratic opponents. They will begin campaigning in earnest in South Carolina and Nevada in the coming days. It is likely to come up in those settings, and we will see exactly how he responds to those attacks. But as you saw there, Bernie Sanders would prefer to just remind people that he has issues with the fact that Bloomberg can cut himself a check and run for president. And as he and Elizabeth Warren especially have said, they're very concerned about the prospects of a billionaire buying the presidency. Of course, Bloomberg has said that he's doing exactly what anyone else would do, putting together enough money to run for president. The difference is other candidates ask people for that money and then owe them something. And he likes to point out that he doesn't really owe anyone anything if he's the one cutting the checks.
So a couple of things, Ed. I think it's important to remind our viewers exactly what redlining is, which was a policy that up until 1968 ensured that 98% of federally insured loans went to white Americans, which ultimately ended up creating one of the largest gaps between black and white Americans in this country, wealth gaps in this country. The question, and Anne-Marie and I were just talking about this, the fact that that these things are resurfacing now around Bloomberg, I was saying to Anne-Marie, well, a lot of New Yorkers already know about stop and frisk. They know about these comments that Bloomberg has made in the past. This is not new. But she pointed out that in the states where the mayor is expected to be competitive with African-American voters, they may not be aware of the things that New Yorkers are aware of.
Absolutely. Just as, you know, the inverse is true. People who are from California were more familiar with Kamala Harris's record than the rest of the country was, and Amy Klobuchar's record in Minnesota versus the 49 other states. So it's going to be really interesting to see, now that he's apologized and distanced himself from those previous positions and comments, whether voters in the other states really worry about that at all. The mere fact that he's apologized it seems to have, at least in the short term, potentially saved him from further criticism or from black voters and black leaders sort of turning their backs on him. Although, you know, notable that this morning, for example, Valerie Jarrett on CBS This Morning said, former advisor and longtime friend of President Obama, said that he probably should spend some more time talking to the people directly affected by stop and frisk and potentially redlining. We'll see if he does that. But also notable that yesterday he picked up endorsements from 3 members of the Congressional Black Caucus, and today Sylvester Turner, the mayor of Houston, the nation's 4th largest city, and the Democratic base essentially for in Texas, which is one of the largest Super Tuesday states on March 3rd. So he's clearly, convinced enough black leaders, at least so far, that he is the most viable Democratic nominee to take on the president.
Okay. Well, there you go. There goes the defense of Bloomberg in a nutshell. That's it, guys. Mr. O'Keefe, he says, he started off by saying the source is unknown about the tapes or about the leak of these audios of Michael Bloomberg from statements that Michael Bloomberg admits he made. No one's doubting the authenticity of the tapes. The source doesn't matter much. It really doesn't matter. Who cares, what the source was? What does that have to do with the accuracy of the tapes? And if anything, it exposes how CNN and MSNBC were not doing their damn job to expose the public to Michael Bloomberg's past. Because though you may know about it, I may know about it, as you just pointed out, most people didn't know about it. Well, if you must know, the source of it was Ben Dixon, an independent media podcaster, friend of mine. That was your source. And you know what he did? Well, he got his 30-person staff to go out and kick down doors and uncover, hidden notes and do some decryption methods and circle the globe 3 or 4 times. Nah, what he did was he did a search on YouTube. A damn search on YouTube found it. It's already been there. You just didn't care, O'Keefe. You just didn't care, Chris Matthews. None of you cared to expose Michael Bloomberg because you all want to work for Michael Bloomberg. And all of you saying nice things about Michael Bloomberg are doing it because you don't want to burn a bridge with a guy with a lot of money. It's real simple. Like Bill Duke, the actor, director, writer says, it's a pimp and hoe game. And we know which side of the game you on, O'Keefe, and the whole lot of you. All of you. So, Bloomberg said the problem, now here's the thing, part of this tape is kind of cut off because it's not the second, there's a second part of this expose where Bloomberg is talking about the housing crisis, okay? And Bloomberg says the reason why we had the housing crisis back in 2007 is because they started giving black people loans. Yeah, that's what the problem was. See, up till 68, as O'Keefe pointed out, or whoever that guy is in CBS, redlining, which is an issue I worked on here in D.C. back in the 90s, because it's still, just because they outlawed doesn't mean banks stopped doing it. Where they don't give black people outside a certain zip code. And since America is so segregated, if you don't give loans to people in certain zip codes, you effectively are shutting black people. You can shut black people out of the market from buying homes, is what it is. Okay? So that's what they did. And that's part of the reason why we have such a disparity between wealth in the United States, because most wealth is obtained how? Through our houses, through our mortgages. That's how most Americans build wealth that they pass down to their children. If you eliminate the ability of black people to acquire wealth or to acquire homes, thus create a savings and money and investment in their homes that they pass on to their children, you're effectively eliminating their ability to pass on wealth. And that's what's happened. So anyway, whole point is, Bloomberg said he didn't blame the banks. He didn't blame the banks who went out and, created these things called derivatives, some garbled malformation of bastardization of different, trading instruments into some glob of whatever risk and masking the risk and just creating whatever type of horrible paper and then selling it. and faking the credit rating of that bombardment of different loans. Now, you don't blame the Wall Street people who took the gamble with other people's money and pensions. No, we're going to blame the investors who had no idea that this was all on an arm, that the market would readjust and people's rent would go, or mortgage, I should say, will go from, say, $1,000 to $3,000 overnight. No, see, that wasn't black people's fault. Black people don't own Wall Street. And how many of Wall Street people did they prosecute? 0. How many of these Wall Street burns? 0. How many Steve Mnuchin's? 0. But who did Bloomberg blame? Black people who got loans. Oh, that's the problem. That's who did it, not the people who created the loans, not the people who created the derivatives, but the black people who put them out. The black people who lost their homes, who have still not rebounded. This motherfucker was saying it's their fault. And Mr. Greg Meeks don't care. To Mr. Meeks, it's okay. It's fine. And like to that pastor who spoke earlier, at least he apologized. Did the check clear? Yeah, it did? Okay. At least he apologized. It takes a big man to apologize. It takes a big little man to apologize. I love it when they apologize. That fixes everything. So Michael Bloomberg, New York mayor. 2 terms, brought his 3rd term. New York guy. Is there any possibility that he's in bed with or friends with the Wall Street execs who bankrupted this country? Basically almost destroyed the world's economy. Any chance that those are his friends? Like, if you're Michael Bloomberg and you're worth $60 billion, who do you kick it with? You don't kick it with Tim Black, that's for damn sure. I got a feeling he hangs out with, the execs of Goldman Sachs and Smith Barney and other names of these hedge funds or whatever. Like the show Billions. I don't know who these black leaders are. Black leaders. You're looking at a black leader, Johnson. People hired by rich white people who do dirt and take advantage of poor people, particularly poor black people. Those people that got hired or got those jobs as gatekeepers, those people aren't leaders. They're the opposite of leaders. These people are hired help, given titles so they can run around and get laid, or so they can run around and look good at parties, so they can run around and strut and show off their blue check marks on Twitter. These people are not leaders. Let me repeat, these black people who work for white companies and CEOs of corporations that abuse, misuse, take advantage of poor people, particularly black people, who spin false narratives, who peddle this bullshit, these BS lies, these people, those people that they hire are not leaders. They are props. They are the instrument of those corrupt bastards who use them. Your leaders are independent people who forego the dirty money, who forego working for these scumbags just because it would be easier to speak truth to power, to fight the system alongside others who may be allies in that same pursuit. We are the leaders, but when we talk about black leaders, get it right. These people are not leaders. You're not a leader just because somebody cut you a check and gave you a job sitting over there and then you read what they put on the damn paper. That's not a leader. How's that become a leader? But to them, these are black leaders who endorse Michael Bloomberg. These people who took money from Michael Bloomberg. These people who look to Michael Bloomberg to fund their organizations, to give their church a new roof. These are not leaders, man. That's probably the biggest slap in the face of all of this, is that they call these people leaders. And they get to mislead. They are the misleaders. And when this one leader, whoever it is, says, well, we got to take a second here, got to look and see about the people that were hurt by stop and frisk, well, look no further than Khalif Browder, the young man who took his own life after serving in New York, Rikers Island, for a backpack they never even found. The young man spent 3 years, a year of such, in solitary confinement, in a prison system. It never even went to trial because he was caught up in the dragnet under a Michael Bloomberg, where you could just Xerox the identity or of the culprits and just pass them out to the police. Young black, 18 to 25, just pick them up. And that's what they did. That's what they do. And as bad as people want to say the Democrats are for doing it, just keep in mind, Trump sat on stage and supported the same policies. See the Candace Owens types who are looking for money on the Republican side of the game who think that's the ticket. What do you say about that? Your guy supports the same policies of Michael Bloomberg. He touted it. He applauded it. So don't give me that crap either. Can it just be that both parties suck Johnson? And can it just be that money rules everything around me? I mean, they've been saying it. We've been saying it for so long. It's as if maybe finally it will permeate the thick skulls of the numbskulls who actually believe a D or an R means something. When at the end of the day, all that matters is what you've done and what you haven't done. And what you will do. That's what should matter, your track record. And we should get rid of you when it's time to get rid of you. They say, well, uninformed. Mr. O'Keefe did make one point there, and I think it's important. He said, well, why don't you think that, why is Bloomberg polling so high? Why is he polling so high in these areas? Why is he, polling well with black people? And that would be due to being misinformed or uninformed. Similarly to those who live outside of California who don't know about Kamala Harris's record, who still to this day, I had someone still to this day, totally oblivious to the carnage of a Kamala Harris's record. You don't defend black women. You probably one of those people that said mean things about Kamala. I had an actual person, not a bot, an actual person say that to me this week, still totally oblivious to Kamala Harris, both as a prosecutor and attorney general. Just dumb. Or similar to people who don't live in Minnesota who don't know about Amy Klobuchar's horrible record of being Kamala Harris light. How can you have 24 cop shootings where cops shot civilians and not a single one even brought up on charges once? How does that even happen? How do you bat 24 all home runs? Like, how do you not one walk or one error on play? One? None? All of them were correctly done? No discrepancies in 24 shootings? None? So O'Keefe is right. There's a lack of information. And that's your job, O'Keefe, to keep people uninformed, to inform them about a very small section of the news on a daily basis. You wouldn't want to go around informing black people the realities of people in your own party who are horrible. No, you don't want to do that because then people might actually fight back, want a revolution, elect or try to do their best to canvass and throw money into supporting a candidate such as a Bernie Sanders, whose one objective is, of many objectives is, but one of them is to overturn this money system where someone like Bloomberg can come in with $1 billion or chump change for him a few $100 million and just throw it on the table and say, give me that one over there. Give me that one over there. I'm Mike Bloomberg, and I approve this message. It's the system, and we have to fix the system. But he's right to say these people are uninformed. But who's going to inform them, Johnson? It ain't going to be you. You don't own shit, and you ain't willing to risk shit or lose shit in order to tell true shit. We'll be right back. Oh, there you go. My name is Tim Black. You're now tuned into the most watched popular demand. Hope we're okay. Hope we're okay. All right, guys, hang tight. We got a slight technical kind of situation going on here. I wonder if I can repair it quickly here, see if we can do that. Yeah, I lost it. So I hope the sound is okay. Let me just check the sound real quick. Yeah, okay. We seem to be okay. Anyway, so welcome back to the Tim Black Show. I want to thank everybody once again for being a part of the Tim Black Wolf Pack, which is how we keep this thing going. So if you like what you heard so far, if you think it's a little bit different, maybe just a little bit different than, I don't know, what Chris Matthews is putting down, maybe you could become part of a community of people who like it that way, who think challenging the system's a good thing, Johnson. Become one of the Johnsons in the Tim Black Wolf Pack. All right. Oh, man, Bernie Sanders has to be the only politician that I can remember, like, that I've ever heard of that could win twice, and somehow they frame it as if he's the loser. Yeah, like, how do you win and still be the loser? I don't get it. They've been. This is the thing they're doing. It's like Bernie won New Hampshire and Iowa. He got more votes in both places, and still somehow it's as if he's doing badly. Well, he didn't do what he did in 2016. He had more votes in 2016, so therefore, he's not doing well at all. It's just a horrible thing. What's wrong with Bernie? Why can't Bernie do as good as he did in 2016? We got a pizza, right? We got a pizza. Let's say it's got 10 slices, like a big slices. We got 8 slices. 8 slices on a pizza, which is about right. And we only got 2 people. There's just so many slices. Your greedy ass is going to eat by yourself. But there's only 2 people. You got 8 slices. Maybe you'll try to power through and eat 3. You might eat 4. But let's say you got 8 slices of pizza and you got yourself 8 people. Yeah, you got 8 people. They're sitting at the table. They're looking at the pizza. Everybody wants a slice of pizza. No one here is eating today. And you end up getting 3 slices to yourself. Some people get 1 slice. One guy got 2 slices. Some people got no slices. Who got more of the pizza? It's a pretty simple way to look at it, but way over the head of various people in cable news media. And this is why I tell you guys, you can't trust these mofos. They are the most disingenuous bunch. The only way you can make the guy who got the 3 slices of pizza sound like or be on par with the person getting no slices of pizza, or the person getting 1 slice of pizza, or dare I say the person who got 2 slices of pizza, is if you are the most disingenuous person or a person who doesn't understand math. Now, I was no huge fan of Andrew Yang, but I could count to 3, and I know 3 is more than 2 or 1 or 0. I may not have went to Harvard. I went to Prince George's Community College, though, and I know at Prince George's Community College, we was taught 3 beats 0. So anyway, here goes a couple clips about how horrible Bernie did even when he won, and how well others did even though they lost.
This weekend to check out the Democratic campaigns. As the frontrunner in the polls, Senator Bernie Sanders of neighboring Vermont is hoping to repeat his performance of 4 years ago. Yet with a serious challenger on his heels, it's not clear he'll gain the dominant victory he got in 2016. Following his delegate victory in Iowa, South Bend's Pete Buttigieg is getting hit by Sanders, but also by his fellow moderates. His audience this weekend seemed impressed by his insurgent campaign, however, weighing whether he's the best alternative to his self-described socialist. Here he is.
Pete may be like Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama, burst out of nowhere. Certain amount of energy and momentum.
You think he might be president?
Yes, I do. I think he can beat Trump.
Well, what's for Bernie? I'm Bernie's supporter, but I don't know. Now I'm here to listen to Pete.
I think he has the capability to bring two sides of the party together.
I like Pete quite a lot.
What's about him? Compare him to Bernie.
I think Bernie would probably be an electoral disaster. He would be a pincushion for the other side.
However, it was Senator Amy Klobuchar who was the first to raise an alarm about the danger of running a socialist candidate atop the Democratic ticket. I caught up with her this weekend following her breakthrough debate performance on Friday. Here goes. You were asked by George Stephanopoulos, the debate moderator, what your reaction was to the fact that Fox News and the Republicans and Trump people will be going after Bernie Sanders for being a socialist. And you responded what?
Well, I think he was saying, do you think we should have a socialist leading the ticket? And I said correctly, I am friends with Bernie. We came into the Senate together, but I don't think we want a socialist leading the ticket, no. And I was literally the only one that raised my hand and said that. I think I watched, everyone was looking around to see if who was going to raise their hands. I'm like, seriously? I think that you have to lead, and you have to be able to do things that are popular and unpopular. And I am someone that's been blunt. I take things on. And I think that's what people are looking for right now. Instead of worrying about, are you going to piss off someone in our own party or somewhere else, you do what you think is right.
Famed Democratic strategist James Carville says he's scared to death by that prospect. Here's what he said earlier today on Morning Joe.
The only thing between the United States and the abyss is the Democratic Party. That's it. And if we go the way of the British Labour Party, if we nominate Jeremy Corbyn, it's going to be the end of days. Some people in this country want a revolution. They want disruption. I don't know what, they scream at people. They go and bully people. And I don't know how you win an election. That 78 years old, stand up screaming in a microphone about the revolution. But you got to give people an alternative.
With me now is U.S. Congressman Ro Khanna of California, who's a co-chair of the Bernie Sanders campaign. Congressman Khanna, tell me about your reaction to Carville says a couple things further. He said Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat. He's an ideologue. He says, this is Carville speaking, it's harder to win with Sanders. Your response, sir?
I'd like to remind Jim Carville about his own history. He ran Harris Wofford's campaign in 1991 in Pennsylvania. Guess what Wofford ran on? On single-payer national health care. So Carville obviously knows it can win. He can win on that. Second, Carville, look at what Carville said about Obama. He said the same exact things. Oh, Obama is rolling the dice. Obama is unelectable. Guess what? Barack Obama was a two-term president. So I would want to know what James Carville has to say about the Wofford win and his comments on President Obama.
I know all about the Wofford win. He overcame a 40-point deficit to beat Thornburg, the former governor. Very impressive research, Congressman Khanna. Very impressive work on your part. You're smiling because you know you really did your homework. Let me ask you about this. Do you think ideology is a smart move for the Democrats to have someone calling for a revolution? Do you think that, mostly people center-left, center-right tend to be the ones that win these primaries and win these generals. What do you think? Do you think the country's in a mood for an ideological revolution right now?
I think what they're in the mood for is the completion of FDR's New Deal, but a New Deal for the 21st century. And I say Bernie Sanders is an FDR Democrat. Here's what he's talking about. Everyone should have health care. Everyone should have education. Everyone should have basic child care. Basically, the things that I had growing up. I represent Silicon Valley. Let me tell you, Bernie Sanders is not talking about nationalizing Apple. There's no way I could represent Silicon Valley and support him if that was the case. He's talking about giving people a basic shot at the American dream and fulfilling the vision from FDR forward.
Wow. Okay, so James Carville. What a fossil this Carville guy is. I had to just make sure our volume's working. I don't have any volume. I can't hear anything in here in my studio. But you guys are hearing this, so that's all that matters. So anyway, James Carville is a fossil. He's a hack. He even admits he's a hack. I've heard him say, yeah, I'm a hack. He was at Politicon. He had less of a line than I did, and no one knew me. So, come on, guys. James Carville, that's Bill Clinton's guy. He's a Democratic operative. He will say whatever he thinks benefits the Democratic Party. He doesn't care about truth. He doesn't care about actually changing the system to benefit the most amount of Americans. He cares that the Democratic Party stays empowered. Period. If that's better for you or better for us, it's immaterial to James Carville. Pointless. I hated to make you sit through Amy Klobuchar talking. That was before New Hampshire, obviously, so she hadn't actually, moved from 5th to 3rd place in a state yet. And if you thought she was hard to deal with then, God, you should hear her now. Yeah, she went from not being on the map to being on the map a little bit, and now she is the most annoying person in this race. Yeah, it's like they gave her wings, Johnson. She just flapping around, going nowhere. Hey, Amy, you do know that there's going to be some blacks and Latinos voting, right? You do realize that, right? You do realize it's a big country. It's got a lot of states. Yeah. And when you talked about, people appreciate her bluntness. Folks, that's the closest she got to owning up to throwing a stapler at the head of one of her interns, one of her staff members. Imagine if there was if Bernie Sanders or, I don't know, any of these guys, if Beto O'Rourke, I don't know, any guy in this race was accused of throwing objects at staff and being very hard to work for and demeaning to women on staff. I wonder what would happen. But see, this is double standard. Because Amy comes out with the voice of wavering, voice fluttering and flickering like a candle in a breeze. Well, and all of a sudden all is forgotten. But this Amy right here that you just heard, the Amy talking about, I'm blunt, and I think it's good, someone's got to be blunt. Yeah, that's the Amy that threw the damn stapler that became notoriously known for that all of a sudden is forgotten. And that's fine, because we can focus on her record. If I could have cable media people like Chris Matthews ask her questions about her horrible record as a prosecutor, about the young man whose life she destroyed with no evidence, well, maybe then we'd be getting somewhere, Johnson. Maybe then she could apologize, because we all know apologies are huge. Let's see what Bernie Sanders had to say in response to some of this garbage. But, Ro Khanna did a good job here of refuting some of the horrible narratives they've been painting about Bernie Sanders, as if all of a sudden Bernie's going to wipe out all the corporations and turn them all over to the state, and it would be a communist country of some type, which is total BS. Ro's like, hey, man, I'm from Silicon Valley. I would lose my district if I was actually supporting a candidate that wanted to, rip apart all the corporations. Corporations fund me. I don't know about that. Sorry, Ro, but you know what I mean. People with jobs in Silicon Valley. Where else they going to work? All right, so anyway, let's listen to Bernie Sanders. He has something to say in response to some of the criticism from James Carville.
This weekend to check out the Democratic campaigns. As the frontrunner in the polls, Senator Bernie Sanders of neighboring Vermont.
Carville, who's obviously a longtime Clinton loyalist, was supporting Senator Michael Bennet, who obviously dropped out of the primary race last night. He said this week that core Democratic voters aren't interested in being in what he said a cult. He said they're not interested in socialism and revolution and other things he called foolishness, and that, quote, I don't know how you win an election 78 years old screaming in a microphone about the revolution. I don't know if he was actually screaming at the time, although it's very possible, knowing James. But so I want to give you a chance to respond.
Look, James, in all due respect, is a political hack who said very terrible things when he was working for Clinton against Barack Obama. I think he said some of the same things. Look, we are taking on the establishment. This is no secret to anybody. We're taking on the wall. I guess the former head of Goldman Sachs attacked me yesterday.
Yeah, he had
We're
some
taking on
things
Wall
as well.
Street. He did, yeah, Wall Street. And the insurance companies don't like me. And you know what? The pharmaceutical industry, which is charging us 10 times more for the same drugs they sell in Canada, they don't like me either. Nor does the fossil fuel industry, because their product happens to be destroying our planet. Nor does the military-industrial complex or the prison-industrial complex. We are taking on Trump, the Republican establishment, Carville, and the Democratic establishment. But at the end of the day, the grassroots movement that we are putting together of young people, of working people, of people of color, want real change.
But you know,
and they want us to take.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you know, though, it's not all, just establishment folks who have a vested interest. I mean, there are, American citizens who, went out to vote in New Hampshire and voted for Klobuchar or voted for Buttigieg or in some cases Biden, who just feel like revolution is, it's just too much. They maybe like their plans. They don't want their insurance taken away for something else in government hands they don't have, any idea about.
Well, first of all, I think if you look at the issues that we are talking about, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, enormously popular, demanding that the wealthy and the powerful and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes, enormously powerful and popular, making public colleges and universities tuition-free. As I said earlier, Medicare for all was one of the reasons we won in New Hampshire. It is very popular in New Hampshire, and I suspect among Democrats all over this country. Criminal justice reform, immigration reform. These are issues that the American people, in fact, support. And we're going to win this election because we are prepared to stand up to Wall Street and the corporate elite and finally do what the American people want.
Senator Bernie Sanders, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I love when they point out that there are Americans who don't want a revolution. That sounds, I understand why. They don't need one. They're doing well. All is well on the Western Front. When all is well and you're not sick or no one in your family is sick and and if they are, you can afford the bills, or if you just so happens you have a good plan currently based on your employer, that you currently have, and, maybe to you don't need it. All is fine. No problems. But lurking around the corner could be a whole different scenario for you. Then what would you say? Then how would they feel? See, no one has a problem. Like, no one needs a raincoat till it rains. Very few people can say, you know what? Looks like rain. Maybe I ought to get my ass a raincoat. Particularly when the rain could come and wash away everything you own and put you in one of those tent cities. See, we have some Americans who still believe that people who are doing bad are bad people. Yeah, they think it's something they did wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some people who are jerks. Listen to Amy Klobuchar, retell again and again the story of her drunk father. But even that is a person with a sickness. But yeah, like they just under this notion that anybody who can't afford, for instance, college. Yeah, they went to the club and spent all their money in Magic City. Or can't afford daycare. Ah, man, if it wasn't for those rims on that big SUV, you'd be able to afford college for your kids. These are the stupid stereotypes people have in their head. Dumb ideas like, oh, man, these people on the street must all be, party animals who just decided they'd rather do drugs than pursue meaningful lives. Never once considering that maybe those people have, medical issues. Maybe they have psychological issues. Maybe they just got sick. Maybe someone got a cancer diagnosis and then they got bankrupt. Or maybe they have so much trauma in their lives, they're self-medicating themselves, and they were prescribed those drugs that they are now on by medical professionals whom they trusted. But it didn't cross their mind, Johnson. Nah, that's not something that they want to consider, because then they'd have to feel bad. And if they felt bad long enough, they might have to get off their middle class or upper middle class asses and actually help do something for their fellow man. So it's easier to look out from the patio of your duplex or whatever it is you're living in and say, oh, those poor suckers. They only worked hard like me. Sipping your espresso with your pinky out, talking shit about the people who are not doing as well as you. Yeah, that's the problem. Bunch of Chris Matthews types, bunch of, innocent blooper inheritance trust fund babies. But it's not even them. Like, the worst people are the fellow poor people, right? The people who are also doing bad going, I hate socialism. Oh, what's that? Let me call the fire department. Well, I didn't know you pay for the fire department when they show up. No, they don't, but it's part of a society that wants to take care of its citizens. So, yeah, I know, dumbass. That's the same thing socialism is. Democratic socialism. Or you hear a voice or a sound rustling in your shed and you call the cops. I didn't know you paid for the cop to come out. Well, no, it's part of me. It's part of my taxes that the cops come. You got me again. You got me again. Or that school needs to do a better job with the books at the elementary school. Or the roads need to be... Oh, shit. Everything is democratic socialism. Yeah, everything that matters, that you don't, that's part of living in a country that's the wealthiest country in the history of countries. There should be a standard of living for that because you pay into that. Why have a government, dumbass, if the government's only purpose is to enrich people like Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi? Like, what's the point? I don't know, so they can make a new Netflix special based on the lives of the people that work in the government? Or we don't need one. What are you, an anarchist? Might as well be an anarchist, because you don't want actual people who spent their lives paying into a system to actually benefit from living in that country. You'd rather for the big... What do you think the big corporations do, dumbass? Why you think they get tax breaks? How you think that happens? They got lobbyists who work on their behalf to get what? What was it, Martin Luther King Jr.? What did he say? Socialism for the corporations and rugged individualism for the individual, or something like that, the worker, something like that. I'm sorry, I didn't get that right. But it's just the same sentiment. Damn fool. Well, all this being, going on, and, of course we got scary Trump in the White House and this horrible stuff, and we all on the verge of jumping off a cliff or running the car in the garage with the windows up or down, or however it goes. We have, someone to save us, and that someone is Michael Bloomberg, because we all know Michael Bloomberg is amazing. That's who we really need. We need the Michael Bloomberg in there because he knows how to get things done. He a businessman. And we all know he apologized. And apologies are huge. Yeah, so is the amount of ass kissing that you do. Folks, tomorrow is Freedom Friday. You can call into the show. And you can say what's on your mind. I've said what's on my mind tonight. I'm sure there'll be more stuff tomorrow, but do call up, be a part of it. I'd love to hear your take on this democracy, or this so-called democracy that we have in the United States. And the latest, the greatest, is this campaign here is into Nevada. I'll still support Bernie Sanders. It's the only option for me. Okay? It's going to be interesting as we get closer to that point and as we get into South Carolina. Remember, we still got a long ways to go. You want news and you want coverage of the politics that's given to you straight from a different point of view. That's right. Well, you need to be, need to become a member here, subscribe to this channel, and sign up. Look, we got a lot going on. What I like to do now is jump over to my super chat. Hopefully some people left comments for me that I can read to you guys. See what we got. We got a couple people had something to say. Someone said, thanks, Tim. I can't read the name, but you're welcome. Thank you, my brother or sister or Johnson. Kip said, Tim Black's handkerchief fun. Yeah, Kip. We got it in a little bit. It kind of goes with the jacket. Sean, Buttigieg said he would institute stop and kiss. I like this, Sean. This is the Sean. We can agree on something, Sean. Yeah, I like this, Sean. Stop and kiss. Did you see that someone did Michael Bloomberg the same way? They stopped him for a selfie, and they said, stop and frisk. He was mad. He didn't like that. Tony DeMeyer said, I saw someone doing apologetics to Bloomberg on Rising. Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm having to learn the hard way that I'm more of an activist, So, well, I'm sure they just want to get a different point of view so you can laugh at them or get angry at these people for being the shills that they are. Shout out to Crystal and shout out to Saga. Anthony Adino, happy to support the show. Thank you, Anthony. Happy to have you support my friend Becky Bosocks. Stacey Abrams is doing an event with Bloomberg for money. I know she is, Johnson. I retweeted an article by the one and only Charlie Peach that breaks it down. Mike Thompson, great show so far. I appreciate you. I appreciate you back, my friend. Kip, happy Valentine's Day, Milk Dud. Love from Lizzie Ward. Milk Dud love. That's it, man. Oh, yes, Tim Black. Tomorrow, I think we're going to have a stop through by Elizabeth Warren and from Cory Booker going to be here as well. I think it's going to be a heck of a show tomorrow. Hey, B4 says he goes $5. Thank you, B4. I love you, man. I appreciate your help, my friend Johnson. I think that's all we have. I think that's enough, guys, because we kicked ass tonight. This was a passionate show, guys. 800 people, 879 right now. Wow, okay. That's what's up. We did pretty good tonight. Give yourselves a pat on the back or applause or something. Much love to you. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be as close to 10 p.m. as possible. We're trying to do a better job on the time. Instead of starting my planning for my shows at, say, 5, I need to move that up to like 3. So I need to give myself a long runway because in order to get the clips lined up and get the editorial right, do the research, I got to kind of have more time. So we're going to do our best to start at 10 sharp. I just want to let people know so that people won't be expecting me to go on at 11. So whether I'm ready or not, we're going to have to start going at 10. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Don't let nobody take your cornbread, and remember, sprinkle some facts on them. Peace. Oh, there you go. My name is Tim Black. You're now tuned into the most watched Black independent media news network in the country. We cover politics, we cover pop culture, we cover whatever matters in your world. If it goes down, I'm covering it. We do a show, live show, Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Friday nights, we got what? A call-in show. Anybody can call in. Throughout the week, we put out little clips, short clips of important news. You don't want to miss it. Stay on top of your news. Go with a reliable source. I'm there for you. TBTV. This is where it's at. Subscribe today and remember, don't you let nobody take your cornbread. Johnson. Popular demand, Johnson is here. I have new Johnson designs in my shop. If you want to pick them up, check them out. They are hilarious. They are revolutionary. And they're all Johnson. You're going to love them, man. Check them out. Both parties suck, Johnson. It's one of my favorites. Independent media only, Johnson. Keep it real. We are all Johnson. We are. We're one big community, guys. Go check it out. Independent media only. Johnson's in the house. Both parties suck, Johnson. We are here. They got a special going on right now. Free shipping. Get it today. Wolfpack.